Hello and welcome back to another video of Forgotten Hope 2. This is the second part of the new custom map review or first impressions video. Now, as far as I know, one second, this map here will also be added to the server Metz. So let's check that one out. That's also completely new. I think Battle of Metz. Metz is one of those areas that was often fought over between France and Germany, and it's very heavily fortified, or was rather. And I think the Americans attacked it in like October or November 1944, late 1944 anyway. And there was lots of fighting against these old fortresses. I don't know if that will be the case here, because that would require a lot of custom statics, though. We will see. Yeah, kind of muddy autumn conditions, I guess. And here we go. I think this was originally in the French Hope project. I think this is the river crossing at Sedan, isn't it? Usually just... Okay, and apparently it loads a lot of text just because I don't have any flags. But I think originally the Germans were on this side and the French defending here. Which makes it kind of weird that now the sides are switched, like the Americans are attacking out of Germany. But okay. Also, again, and I wonder why they are doing this. Why no bazooka kit? What do they have against anti-tank kits? Never got that. So, I'm guessing this is the main base, or maybe this? No, this is probably the main base. Yeah, I think the names here are probably from the campaign, because... Imperial Japanese Division? Yeah, probably not. Okay, let's see then. A fairly threadbare Allied main base. Yeah, autumn conditions. Lots of tanks. It's a fairly big map. I'm guessing there's quite a few flags, so there might be flag hopping syndrome. On the other hand, there's also lots of bottlenecks, so that might actually kind of work it out. We will see. Yeah, again with the flamethrowers, I would only put these on maps that really feature lots of bunkers. Another thing, although I think stock FH2 maps also do this wrong, for example, Wassenack, but generally speaking, in 1944 the BAR should be the normal machine gunner kit, and the M1919A6 should be pickup, unless it's like a paratroop division. Also, jumbos were only used starting in December 1944. And the 76mm model was only used in... This is 76, right? Yeah. The 76mm model was only used in 1945 and then only really rarely. So I really would not put that on many maps. Also kind of weird how there's a pilot kit here when the planes are over there, but never mind. Okay, let's go over to the German side. So, the German main base, and what do we have here? Normal late 1944 stuff. Aha! Again, this is the alternative Normandy skin for the Panzer IV. Now, the Wirbelwind does actually load the Panzer IV skin, the normal Normandy one. This texture is actually the same as the side skirts for that Panzer IV model. It's a little trick to avoid having to load two textures. Thing is, if you use the non-standard skin, you do load two textures, so I would look into that. And also make sure that you load this version of the fillings plugin, for example, not the Ardennes version. Otherwise, you also load two textures needlessly. I would think twice about adding that many armored transport vehicles, to be honest. Now, one thing I'm noticing here is that the undergrowth here is horrible, like really terrible. Look how it doesn't blend at all, which leads to the problem that if you look at the horizon here, it actually slowly pops in as you move, because it looks so different. See, there at the hill. Because it looks so different from the terrain below it. Don't do that, it looks horrible. Also, these grey skins are for 1939 to 1942, so don't use them in 1944. So, last but not least, I'm gonna take a little look at that center area here, which looks quite interesting. So now I'm in, I don't know, Sedan, I guess? Or it's something different now. I like creative use of these walls like here to make interesting cityscapes, although I now realistic that there's also, you always have to be careful about being able to run around on them. Although in this case it seems to work quite fine. Can't really be fixed. Careful with the overgrowth. Also, generally, you have to be really careful with these kinds of textures that you don't place them on weird slopes like this. It immediately takes you out. They're really tricky to place. I do remember in the original French Hope map, there usually was a problem of there being the player density being way too low, so it felt random and weird. It's kind of hard to judge if it will be the case here, but I'm gonna say this is a very complex kind of area with lots of hiding spaces. And pickup kids in the middle of the street. Okay, this is apparently the flag zone. Also, I don't like using statics that are made for specific maps like this on other maps. It's just because that's for Ramel, of course. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not huge fan from first glance of this area, like stuff like this, where it's like, oh, can I go here? Oh, no. It seems a bit cluttered and weirdly structured. Although, of course, the flags being invisible doesn't help. Oh, now can you go over there? Could be funny. Also, kind of like this. I like how there's this big contrast between the city area and the open one. Yeah, it is pretty big, considering there's also two flags outside of this. I wonder how player density will look here. These barriers are pretty cool. I guess in the beginning everybody will rush the center here, which would be pretty sweet. Always with the transport, although I guess on a big map like this, but still. And then you would have to defend the bottlenecks leading into it. That could be quite cool. Although I wonder, can you cross here? Probably not with vehicles, but with infantry. That kind of adds an additional layer of tactics to this. Although it also kind of is weird in the sense that then what are all these transport vehicles for? I guess to get to the other flags. Yeah, it's pretty big. My gut feeling, which could be wrong, but my gut feeling tells me it's probably a bit too big and too cluttered. But we will see. Also, lots of light mapping errors. In fact, this looks like light mapping got corrupted while light mapping, which sometimes happens. And yeah, that's always a pain in the ass to fix. That's actually pretty nice, this area. It's just, I'm afraid there will only be like 2 or 3 people in it at any one time. I mean, I'm pretty sure this whole city area is comparable in size to the one on St. Veit. Okay, that's apparently that big fortress that they were fighting about, but it seems to be out of bounds. As I said, compared to St. Veit and how that is set up, then I hope you understand what I mean. And of course, this undergrowth just terrible. In fact, to show you what I mean, I think I will switch over to Ogledo for a while and show you my progress on there, because I worked on that exact problem a while back. Now, after the last time I showed footage of this map, it has received a complete overhaul of textures, and this is what I mean with the blending in of undergrowth. And see how this this grass here doesn't really stand out as single grass objects. Now, you do this, for one thing, you need a relatively low contrast grass texture for your terrain. And then a grass texture that has either similar color to the terrain already, to the color map, or kind of very grayscale. So there's not much color in it that can stand out. So yeah, anyway, I will probably make a video showing what else I changed on this map, but yeah, that's just what I wanted to show. So last but not least, I know that more maps also have been reworked. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure which ones. I don't think there's like a changelog or something. But let's look at Etna line, because in my opinion that was always one of those that had the most promise. But last version it had this terrible sector push mode. It was also probably a bit too big, and had lots of stuff that was out of place for Sicily. So we will see. Yeah, other than that was decent map, I think. I remember we had one round where I was in the Troina town with Slayer, where we had quite a bit of fun, even though the whole round kind of was ruined by the push mode, but it was kind of funny running around in that city. And it's a pretty unique location in FH2 as well. The song is quite nice as well. Okay, that looks a lot more reasonable. You have 5 flags in the middle, 2 main bases, Looks like a decent layout. That kind of weird flag under there, down there is cut. This was, I think, a flag as well, which is way out of the way, kind of. So yeah, I think this is a reasonable change. One thing, since this is July 1943, I wonder if maybe it would be better to use the Africa Thompson, and maybe even the Africa Bazooka. I'm not sure they had the M1A1 at this point, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure though that they had phased out the Grand tank, or Lee tank in this case, by this time. New texture. And I'm pretty sure the M10 tank destroyer was first used a few months later at Salerno, to be honest. But yeah, other than that, I think the light settings might be changed. The map does seem to look a bit better. And see here the undergrowth looks a lot better as well. Okay, this random rock looks a bit weird. Anyway, let's go over to the German side and look at Treuner a bit, and maybe at the German main base, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, here in the German main base, seems like a pretty decent kit layout for 1943. Was that skin always in? Maybe I just have noticed it. Not yet, looks like historically accurate stuff. One thing I seem to recall is, but I'm not sure if that's true, but that there were no Hanomaks on Sicily. But I don't know if I would even hold a normal FH2 map to that standard. Is that a new skin? Or is that just the, might just be the Tunisian skin? Okay, let's look at Treuner. So, I always had a soft spot for terrain like this. One thing that's kind of weird is that this flag is apparently Treuner Center, and Treuner North is the one on top of the hill. Kind of feels like it should be switched, or maybe this should be called like Treuner Bank, because this, and this kind of annoys me again, but this is the bank building from Tobruk. It even says Libya on it, so not really Sicilian right there. That was used in the first version of FH2. There was this gold rush mode that was supposed to take place on Fall of Tobruk, where you had to break into the bank and steal gold bars. But it never really worked as far as I know. But yeah. Anyway, I don't think much more has changed here, although I think the map might have gotten a retexture or something. It does look kind of different. I think the really important stuff was cutting it down a bit and making a conquest map out of it. Of course, that sector push mode was really strange back then. Okay, and the flag now is in a more conspicuous location and not like weirdly in some back alley. That was also, if I remember correctly, the problem. That seems weird. I like this this area here as well. Looks very unique and Italian. Okay, let's end the video on top of the church tower there. And probably would be best, yeah, okay, it's got the, if the church tower isn't in the actual flag zone, so people can't camp in there. I wonder if this is the actual Treuner church or just some generic Italian one. Kind of expected you could be able to look over, like, into the surrounding terrain, but I guess the houses are a bit too high. Anyway, my first impressions of this map, or the changes on it, are really kind of positive. I think it's going in the right direction. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and have a nice day.